I'm Megan Buchter. I'm the director of the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit at the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University. And in this capacity, I run our Aim to Flourish program. Aim to Flourish is a program that's used at universities around the world to help teach students about the UN global goals and business's role in helping to achieve them. As part of the assignment, students interview business leaders and write up stories that you can view on aimtoflourish.com about businesses from all over the world and the amazing things that they're doing. Every year, we also award our annual Flourish Prizes, one for each of the 17 global goals, to our business leaders, professors, and students that were all involved in the creation of stories. Today, we're going to talk to our 2020 Flourish Prize winners for global goal number 4. And I'd like to kick this off by introducing Professor Isabel Rodriguez Tejedo from the Universidad de Navarra. And Isabel, I'm hoping that you can tell us a little bit about how Aim to Flourish has been used in your class and your experience with the program.
Thank you, Megan. Sure. So here at the University of Navarra, we have a compulsory course which I teach currently, which is Global Political Economy. And it's strongly focused on economics, but as it happens, most of our students are actually business students. So I use Aim to Flourish to build a bridge between the economics side of it and the business side of our school and most of our students. It's actually an elective activity. So Ana Maria, Sara, Catalina, and Laura actually chose to do this project aside from their regular activities in the course. And for me, it's very useful because it allows us to bring real business leaders such as Marcel and their contributions to society in a very meaningful way. And the most fun part is that it's entirely student-driven. So I would like to thank you and all of the people who make Aim to Flourish possible, because it's really a wonderful opportunity for us.
Thank you so much. And how long have you been using the program? I know that we've been getting stories from you, from your class, for several years now.
So it's been 3 years now.
That's wonderful. We really love receiving those stories from the Universidad de Navarra. Who do you have with you here today? Can you introduce your students to us?
Sure. So we have Ana Maria Londoño, who, because of COVID, is actually joining us from her home. And then Sara Popa, Maria Catalina Perez, and Laura Puelink, who are together and per university regulations are wearing face masks because they're very close together, and they're joining us from the school itself.
That's great. And Ana Maria, where are you today?
I'm actually in Bogota, Colombia. As Isabel said, I was not able to travel to Spain due to travel restrictions. So I'm here taking my online classes and participating from here.
That's amazing. Well, we're so happy that with all of the different time differences, you were all able to join us today. Marcel, you're in Nicaragua?
No, actually, I'm in Amsterdam, so I'm in the same time zone.
Amsterdam, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Which is actually half my home base. I am from the Netherlands.
This is a very global group we have here today. Ana Maria, maybe you can start us off by talking a little bit about your experience as a student going through the Aim to Flourish program.
So I'm actually very much interested in social innovation. I have been doing several internships about it. Right now I'm doing my thesis about it also. So I'm very much interested in how specifically private companies help out to develop the social development goals, the SDG goals. So I'm very much interested in that. So I thought that Isabel's activity was really much, I could connect really much to it. So it was a wonderful experience because above everything, it really inspired me to maybe become in the future as someone as Marcel is. So, inspire people from business, through business, by helping people. So, I can say that.
That's so great. And Laura, Sarah, what about the three of you?
Well, the Aim to Flourish platform was really great for us because it was also some kind of experience, and it was like a step-by-step of what we were going to do in the future. Like when we were going to apply for jobs or anything, we always needed to make contact with people, with leaders. So in that part, it was a great experience about it. And we also had the opportunity to talk with someone like Marcel, who has a great business, and he also is doing something good for the world. Because all of us, we love to do charity events and volunteering things. Here in the university, they offer a lot of programs for that. And so it was like kind of a win-win, because it's something about experience, and it's something that we actually love. It's like helping others. And with this education programs that Marcel is offering, thanks to Hotel de Corazón, it's something that it's passionate and that inspires us a lot.
I'm so interested in the fact that the assignment was given to you for extra credit. Not a lot of students might go out of their way to do an interview and write up a story for an extra credit assignment. So what really encouraged you to do that, to participate?
I mean, everything began during our class of global political economy last year. Our professor Isabel presented a project, and we thought it's an extraordinary opportunity for us to get involved, as we love to get involved in inspiring projects that make an impact on the world, a positive impact. So we decided to go ahead. We chose this company. Laura, our colleague, helped us with Marcelo. We got in touch with him, and everything began then.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. How did you pick Hotel Corazón to be the subject of your interview?
Yeah, so when Isabel presented to us the project, we got thinking, like, what company should we choose? Where should we look? Where do we do our research and stuff? So it occurred to me, Marcel is actually friends of my parents. So they talked to me about him, that he had a really cool project. He had this hotel. He was doing really good things for the world in Nicaragua. So I told my friends, we were debating between this company and another one. But we actually ended up choosing Marcel because we really found it really inspiring what he was doing. He's helping a lot of people. He's really making a positive impact. So we're like, why not? So we contacted him, and everything. The process was really, really easy with him. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcel.
Thank you for everything, and all of you for giving us this opportunity. It's incredible, really. A beautiful experience.
It's a unique experience, yeah, for sure.
We are very proud with our results. I mean, we didn't think we'd get so far.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's the one of the reasons I immediately got enthusiastic about this is that I really liked. Well, first of all, our project Hotel Corazón is about education, about helping kids in Nicaragua, now also in Mexico, from underprivileged areas to finish their education. So we're all about education, but what I absolutely loved about this is that I could explain our project to students that sooner or later will also become business leaders, to show an example that a social business can be a business, or a business can be a social business. And I'm every day more convinced that every business should be a social business in the future. And it's great to plant that seed in the heads of students nowadays. So I love the opportunity to be part of the Aim to Flourish program as well.
That's so wonderful to hear. I mean, that's like business as an agent of world benefit. That's our whole mission. So
yeah, exactly.
To get a chance to hear you say that in your own words is really heartwarming. I'd love to take a step back for a minute so that our audience can hear more about Marcel and what your company does. So maybe you can tell us I know everyone on this call knows about Hotel Corazón, but maybe, for those that are going to be watching that won't know about the organization, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So Hotel Corazón is an organization, and we operate currently 2 boutique hotels, one in Nicaragua and one in Oaxaca. And the profits of the hotel, we invest in education projects for local children and youth from underprivileged areas, so they can finish their school or their schools or their education from primary school to up to a university level. We offer support classes in primary school. We offer scholarships for secondary schools and universities from one area outside of Granada, Nicaragua, and another area outside Oaxaca in Mexico. And we've been doing this now for 10 years. It started off as a sabbatical, but it's getting now very serious because we are now gearing up to open 3 more hotels over the next 3 years. So that many more children and youth can benefit from the concept where tourists love to sleep in a hotel when they know that the money they pay in the end will not only pay for the salaries of the people that work in the hotel, which are also locals, but will end up paying for the education of children that otherwise would not be able to finish their education. So that's basically what we do.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do this, to be a part of this organization or to create this organization?
Yeah, actually, my co-founder and myself, when we were on vacation like 15 years ago, we realized that being born in the Netherlands, in a relatively rich country, having had a good education, and actually exactly that education had been able to bring us where we were at that point in time. We thought it was about time to give something back to the world. So it started off as a volunteer project, as a sabbatical. By the way, we took 2 years off from work because we always say after working 10 years for our bank account, it was time to work for something else in the world. And then later on, it all got a bit out of hand and it became more serious. And now it's become our job.
That's amazing. How about Ana Maria or Laura, Sarah, Maria? Do any of you have questions for Marcel that maybe you can kind of simulate a little bit of what you asked in the interview so that our audience or students can see what it's like to do the interview of the business leader?
Sure. We actually have one big question, and we wanted to ask you about if COVID-19 has had an influence with the Hotel con Corazón or with the educational programs, and what do you see in the future with all of this disaster and everything? Like, what can you do about it, and what do you think is going to be important in the future in terms of education? And now with all of this and the innovation types that now everything, a lot of classes are via Zoom. So if you're thinking of doing it a little bit more internationally so the kids can have like a more international point of view, if that's something that's actually possible, or what do you see in the future of the company with everything right now?
Okay, well, you said one question. These are quite a lot of questions. Let me try and answer all of them. Of course, yes, COVID-19 has an enormous effect on Hotel con Corazón. First of all, our hotels since April are empty, virtually empty. So we don't produce profits, which is our model, to have profits to pay for education projects. But also our staff. I mean, we had to reduce hours of our staff. We had to lay off some staff. Well, I mean, as you know, the worldwide hospitality industry and the event industry and the cultural sector, I think, are the 3 most affected areas when it comes to business. I mean, the health sector obviously is the most affected one for obvious reasons. But so the hotels suffer, but then also the kids that are in our program, they suffer now from both ends. First of all, the regular school stopped, and and you can imagine that not every country has the same means as Spain, the US, or the Netherlands to offer online classes. Internet infrastructure is not as naturally present in every household, certainly not in the households that we support. I mean, we support the households that don't even have money to pay for schools. So getting into some of the innovations, what we immediately started doing is providing our students, some of our students in Mexico, that was, with cheap cellular phones with 4G data, so they could keep on, or at least have some of the possibilities to also follow online support classes. And throughout the summer, we've been learning how that works. Although it's a tremendous effort to do. For you guys, like university students, you're motivated to do the studies you're doing. As you know, probably back in the days in high school, you were not always as motivated to do your homework because other things seem to be important. So if I see in the Netherlands that everybody's struggling to keep their kids concentrated on their schoolwork, of course, in countries like Mexico, Nicaragua, with very, well, rudimentary tools, it's even harder to engage the students in online education. On the other hand, it also means that, like most countries, also Mexico, Nicaragua, the schools, the teachers, and organizations like us, we are learning from this. We were taken by surprise, and probably Isabel had the same experience. You probably also had a crash course in how do you give online courses. It goes a bit slower. Well, and of course you in your university as well. It goes a bit slower in Nicaragua and Mexico, but all the actors in the education field are also learning because we'll have to. I mean, this is going to be around for at least another year, even if there is a vaccine somewhere in the first half of 21. Before that has a real effect on societies, that will be the end of 21 for sure. So it also means that, coming back to our hotels, the ones that provide for the funds, in Mexico at least, we are now getting some national tourism. So that helps us to break even probably from next month onwards. But again, making profits is probably still a year and a half away. So we cannot currently adopt new students. So the current school year that just started 2 months ago, we were not able to have an influx of a new cohort of students from the 2020 year. And we doubt that in a year from now, we will already have the buffers to recruit new students, unless tourism would pick up much faster than we now anticipate. Luckily, we have enough reserves as an organization to pay for all the education costs for all the years to come of the current students.
And what about, I think the second half of their question was about innovating into the future. So where do you see the organization going after COVID-19?
Yeah, well, COVID-19, obviously, it forces us to, as a hotel organization, to be prepared for also future pandemics. So accelerating a zero-touch customer journey throughout the hotel, that so you won't have to go to a reception anymore. Zero-touch breakfast, all that I think is going to be an innovation that is going to be necessary because as the world keeps on developing and our major metropolis cities keep on growing, this pandemic won't be the last one. It's not the first one, it won't be the last one. But maybe if I take a step back, it's more, as an organization, being more prepared for big changes that come very fast. And in all frankness, that is a bit of a challenge for us. We are a real estate business. There's a building standing there with a big investment that we'll have to pay for as well. The real estate and the hotel business are not known to be very innovative industries, quite conservative industries. But when it comes to the future, we are convinced that our type of organization, when it comes to competing with other hotels, we are extremely well positioned. I think because travel will experience change. I mean, I think we will travel less in the future. And And I think then we will be one of the few hotels in the places where we are that are really focusing on the social aspects, on the, let's say, the tourism is much more than consuming. The tourism is also contributing. And from that angle, I think Hotel Corazón is very well positioned to play a role even in a changing landscape. Because, I mean, the development goals of the UN development goals, the SDGs, they speak for themselves. Either we make sure they happen, or we end up without space to live, without air to breathe, without water to swim in. So from that angle, I think we like to see that we are on the forefront. We were already innovating in that concept, and we hope that many more hotels will do the same. Because we're not afraid of copycats. The more hotels will do things like us, the better the places will become.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very innovative. You know, you travel, you go to places, and tourists do want to give something back. And so this really gives them the opportunity to do that, to give something back to the location that they're visiting. Can you tell me a little bit about how you work with the students? Like, do you work with specific schools? How do you select the students that you work with that you're now kind of helping with new technologies?
How we engage with the students, it's different. Nicaragua, we started off, and how do you ask? How do we select? We were asked by the Ministry of Education locally to attend 2 schools in a rural neighborhood that were very unattended by them. And when we went there and spoke with the teachers, they said, well, we have a group of students in the first grade that are coming to school really behind in speaking, and very soon, well, they're clearly behind. If you could support them somehow with some support classes. So that's how we started doing it. Really selected by the teachers of the day school. We put them into little groups. We hired some educational professionals and started giving them support classes, which is what we ended up keeping on doing throughout the primary school. In the course of the years, that's switched a bit from support classes to homework support, as the kids are getting more homework. And then after primary school, the students that wanted to go to a secondary school, which is not all that logical in Nicaragua when we started off there, they could get a scholarship from us to go to the city, to go to a somewhat better school than the public school, including transport costs. And the students that wanted to could also get a scholarship for a university, if they wanted to, and if they were accepted in university. And the students with a scholarship, as of 15 or 16 years old, I don't recall, from the moment they are allowed to work, they come in one Saturday a month into the hotel to work in the hotel, so they also see a working environment, and they give something back for their scholarship. In Mexico, we started focusing immediately on in the US, I think you call it junior high school, or which in Mexico is called prepa, which is what they do just before going to college. Because in Mexico, we soon found out that there weren't as many dropout students in primary school. So we immediately focused on secondary school. And there we work with a partner organization that has a center of a learning center where they give support classes to all kinds of students. And the students from the neighborhoods, again on the outskirts of the city, come in there every Saturday to have a whole morning of support classes. And they get scholarships for their senior high school. And they were selected by another organization that was already for 15 years working socially in that community. So basically we went to a couple of high schools. We introduced the program, and one of the important selection criteria was students that take the effort to fill in the application, send it in, and come to an interview. That show their motivation already. So that's roughly how we interact with our students. So in Nicaragua, we have our own education staff that goes in, does the support classes, once a month does home visits, so keeps contact with the parents. As the kids grow older, they can always stick in our program until they've finalized the education level to the level that they are willing and motivated to follow.
That's amazing. And it's amazing that you've been able to continue to support the students that you've been working with, even though your hotels aren't currently occupied by tourists. So that's outstanding work. I think that the other thing that I see from this group, because everyone here is so global and in so many different locations, is that even though the interview that the students did of Marcel took place back in 2019, I'm assuming that you all still used Zoom or Skype in order to connect with each other. Is that true?
Skype, WhatsApp.
Yeah, great. So even before the pandemic, doing this Aim to Flourish assignment is able to help connect students with such global companies, and really, have the experience of talking to somebody that's maybe even not in their local community, but could be across the world. Anna, Laura, Sarah, Maria, can you tell us a little bit more about, doing that virtual interview?
Yeah, so we actually did it here in the university itself. And I mean, it was really easy because, as I said before, Marcel is a family friend. So we spoke via WhatsApp and we just met a day and we had the Skype interview. And I mean, it was just so easy. We just had this interview and yeah,
and then we divided our work and each of us did her job.
Yeah, we all added our little parts into the project and
based on his interview.
Yeah, so we just had the interview to just inform ourselves, let him explain a little bit about the Hotel con Corazón, just do our little research in order to do the project.
Well, I know how inspiring I've felt getting a chance to listen to Marcel's story, virtually, but in person. What did you take away from that interview? How did you feel afterward?
I mean, really inspired because it's amazing how you can have a profitable company and still do good in the world. I mean, both things at the same time is just amazing. And obviously before you thought about it and you thought it was true, but when you see a real example, firsthand, it really makes an impact on you. And it's you can do it. I mean, anyone can do it. So as Marcel said, any company in the world can be a social company. So we were really inspired by the interview.
Yeah, and it's really great and it's really funny because as Laura explained, we're long time friends with her parents. And actually, we met each other at Universidad de Navarra because we did our master at IESE. That's where I know the parents from. And with Laura's father, I spent 4 months in California. We did an exchange program together in Berkeley. So we knew each other studying business. And 25 years later, we reconnect because I've created a social business and Laura was doing a course on business in the framework of the social development of the SDGs from the UN. And it's funny how it's in one way it came circle. And then it was really easy to connect. It went really informal to have the questions and answer them and elaborate on them. And also, because all of us with Laura's parents and all of our friends from the master 25 years ago, we're all over the world and we still connect with each other. So that just is easy.
If I may add something, it's also we always encourage students to look around themselves and ask their friends, ask their families, because we thought about setting a list of potential companies, but then it makes it look sometimes like only super big companies out there are doing great things. And it's very important, the contribution of small and medium enterprises that are literally around the corner from each of us. So I'm thrilled actually that Laura reconnected with a family friend, because it is really, I don't want to say easy, but it's an everyday thing. Lots of people around the world through businesses are doing amazing things.
I am nodding vigorously because I completely agree. Whenever I get a chance to talk to our students that are going through the program, and a lot of times the biggest kind of point of nervousness is reaching out and finding a company to interview. I also encourage them to, ask your parents, ask your friends, see who somebody knows, because that might be a really easy connection for you to a company that you hadn't even really considered as doing some sort of social good, or that you just didn't even know about, even though they're somehow connected to your family. So it's really exciting to get a chance to kind of reinforce that point here during this conversation, about all the different ways that you can find somebody to interview, that you can discover that these companies are out there. And I also agree that, sometimes we do have a tendency of highlighting the bigger companies because they're more widely known. People know those bigger names, but that looking at those small and medium enterprises, there are some really exciting stories there, like Marcel's story. And it's really exciting as part of Aim to Flourish that we get to share those stories with so many people, that the students get to write the stories and contribute, and that we get to share them and put them on social media and celebrate them with our Flourish prizes, because these are the organizations that are really changing the world. And so we're really proud at Aim to Flourish that this is what we get to do.
Yeah, it's great you're doing that, and I can only hope that more and more universities in the world will introduce these kind of programs to make sure that economy or business students get to see from close by there's a lot more than investment banks and consultancy companies and large, fast-moving consumer goods companies in the world to have fun while working and doing good at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've said this 3 times, but I really love the how global this group is right here, because it's such a fantastic example of just how even before COVID-19, even before the pandemic, Aim to Flourish really allowed students to connect with businesses that were all over the world. And here we all are together from the United States and Spain and Colombia and Amsterdam with a company in Nicaragua, having a conversation about an interview that took place last year and a story that was written up on our platform, and just really getting to share Marcel's story and, celebrating all of you, Isabel and, Anna, Laura, Sarah, Maria, all of you, and the wonderful story that you wrote about Hotel con Corazón.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity for all of us.
And thank you for the amount of work that you put in, all of you, reviewing the stories, giving feedback. I can't imagine, we only see our feedback, but multiplied by the number of stories that came in, that's a tremendous amount of work, I'm sure.
Well, we're just honored that we get to tell the stories. So we work as hard as we need to get as many of them as published as possible. And it's so nice to see stories from Spain and stories written from students at the Universidad de Navarra about global companies or companies from anywhere. So we're really happy that you continue to participate every year.
We will, for sure.
I must have seen the number somewhere, but how many cases did you receive over on the 2019-20 academic year?
Yeah, so in 2019 we published 824 stories.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is kind of crazy that, I guess, when you think 824 stories, we pick 17 winners, and here we are with our Flourish Prize winners for Global Goal number 4. So congratulations to all of you, because, not necessarily an easy feat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a lot of stories to read.
For us, it's just telling the story, but
Right.
the students, they've been able to pose the right questions, write the answers in a certain fashion that it was apparently good enough to win the prize. So the congratulations go to the girls, to the students.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And it just goes back to like a really wonderful organization that Marcel is leading. I mean, if the story is not true, if the story is not really helping out, then a good story is not going to end up being published. We have really good facts, really good evidence, really good information in the internet even. So it was just all due to that.
We will also want to thank our professor, Isabel, because this is possible thanks to her. She gave us the opportunity, and we're really inspired, and it really motivated us to do a lot of things that we've done in 2020. We always think about this, how lucky we were about this opportunity and experience. So thank you very much to Aim to Flourish and to our professor for making this possible for us.
Yeah, it really is a team effort, having a professor that's using the Aim to Flourish program and assignment, and then having students that, take the assignment and really, find a wonderful company to write up their story, and then having the business leader that's able to give their time to tell the story to the students. So it really is a team effort, and that's why with our Flourish prizes, we do really try to celebrate the whole team, the professors, the student authors, the business leaders. Everyone really got together to work on this Aim to Flourish story, and we want to celebrate that. So thank you for all of you for participating in that. And I hope that we can continue to lift up and share Marcel's story and Hotel con Corazón, and that once people all over the world are able to travel again, that everyone will be wanting to book rooms at your hotels.
That will be wonderful, and
Yeah.
we'll be waiting for that.